Hi,
I
Mehtab.
thought, hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So glad to have you.
Same here. Tell me what's cooking in Pakistan.
Oh, yes. So
The
we have,
latest.
yes, latest is we have launched United Women's Voices Pakistan. And the first project we're doing is we're launching this anthology. And it's by the name of the Unsaid Anthology of Pakistani Women's Voices. And we will be expecting a lot of prose and poetry works. So, in order to have the women's voices, take the shape of, poetry and prose, so that their voices are amplified. See how the baddies, the Gen Zs, how their thought forms have evolved and what are they going to bring to the table. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, drama unfolding through the means of penning.
Interesting. So what's okay? So from what I'm getting is that we are targeting the topic of patriarchy, which is a great topic in itself. It's a huge umbrella topic. And what are we trying to achieve through this?
So like you just mentioned patriarchy and I think when we speak of patriarchy, we see that a lot of change in the mindset has taken place in the youth among the ladies. And what's happening is that things are not going to remain the same under this umbrella of patriarchy, where men were in dominant positions or in positions where they shape the narratives or they suppress the voices. So, by choosing this medium of literature, of penning, we are going to tap into the consciousness of the women to share their voices and and take down patriarchy very consciously. Now this has become a conscious project. Feminism, or the rise of womanism, has become too conscious to be suppressed. And every day we see that as much as the censorship through media or legal system is taking places when it comes to politics, religion, or social narratives, we see an equal rise of of this empowered, embodied voices who are not taking suppression. I mean, it has turned into a joke now. If we have educated our women, how do they think they're going to control what these women have learned from their mothers, what they have seen from their silence of the mothers? They're going to say silence. They're absolutely not going to say silence. And how they're going to take up positions in the leadership or take up public spaces, which is a gender war zone. So we see through this medium of anthology, a lot will a lot is going to be asked of our women to express and say the unsaid.
That's really interesting. So what we're looking at is basically connecting to women, and we're talking about generations worth of suppressed emotion. So
Exactly.
this this sort of project is it's a release. It's a
It's a
collective release, right?
exactly.
It's equally a healing project, because when we
It
have
is.
women who have kept their emotions suppressed within their bodies, we have chaos. And
Yes.
yeah, this is what it looks like. Now, who is it that we're targeting?
I mean, first of all, you were very right about the intention behind this project is healing. It's not, It's healing through healing and exposure through words that are kept and stored within, and now it's erupting as diseases of various kinds. We see there's rise of cysts, rise of thyroid. Why do we have these blocked chakras among women, right? All of this is a manifestation of centuries and generations of suppression. So the anthology was the initiative of this anthology was to have this collective release, and we're targeting Pakistani women to break their silence, to release this stored trauma that is coming not just from their own lived experiences, but experiences of their mothers, of their grandmothers. So yes, this is going to be a collective release and a collective healing. We are targeting all women of all ages. So, the number of submissions that we have so far received is from real powerhouses. They are academics, they are professionals in their fields, they're like young girls from universities, from school. Today's recent submission was from an O-level student. So all women of all ages are, given this open call to submit their voices, and it's a break from stereotypes and taboo, and the topics, the themes that we have discussed and finalized were very, very challenging, and they evoke the emotions, the triggers that are within the system and within the people, that there are big triggers for patriarchy in itself, right? So those topics have really pushed the subconscious of the women, and they're really strong themes, and that they appeal to them. It's something about these themes that gave this call that, okay, this is what we are writing. This is so much that we want to talk about, we're experiencing in our daily lives. So this is a very relative topic, very timely, very personal, and collective at the same time. So yes, women of all ages are expected to write.
Right. That's can we get an idea of the themes?
Yes, just one second. All right, so the themes that we chose are the core of her story into verse. She walks where she stands unnoticed. We have male gaze is male flaw. She broke the pattern. We have bodily autonomy. We have shame. We have pedophilia, rape, sex trafficking. We have defiance, the relationships that cause female agency. Then we have financial autonomy denied, pseudo shakes of male chauvinism, public space as a gender war, the man of my nightmare, not your doll, not a dollhouse, the guilt of being too much, virginity and purity, womb, the saint and the seductress, matriarchs rise. These are some of the themes that we have chosen for the anthology.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I can't wait. I can't seriously wait because I think that this is so relevant at this time where you have women who are waking up to themselves.
Exactly.
And they want to really put a stop to this generational trauma, this sort of suppression that's systemic, and it's been going on for generations. And South Asia seems to sort of breed this sort of patriarchal disease,
Every day. Yeah, we're breathing it every moment. Like every day, there is some sort of debate that is existing within the house, existing in the first step we take outside the house, and then it's existing when the institutions where students are studying, in the places women are working. So, I mean, there is no space that there is no conscious conflict that is taking place. But the thing is that we have women who are living or rising to a consciousness, but we have men who are still living unconsciously in all those dialed back patriarchal standards that were set by their fathers and all those in the authority. So we see that if we see this collective as engendered binary, there's one rising consciousness and one is still sleeping. And why are they sleeping? Why is one side sleeping? It's because it's a threat to the power that they're holding. I mean, it's a realization that the balance of power has tipped. And now there is this reclamation of this power by the women. And this is done through their voices, because we know that the laws are in place, but there's no practicing of those laws because those laws are in the hands of the patriarchs, right? So if there's not going to be, if the other side is not going to join together in the same anthem that the women are singing, and by instead of being triggered by that, why not join the chorus? And that's how the balance is going to be restored, because we are working not towards, I mean, I think there's a lot of trigger. Why is this trigger? Because the word feminism triggers people. But if you ask them why is this trigger, it's triggering them. It's them waking up and seeing the damage that has been done, and the damage
Right.
is done on both sides.
Absolutely. Do you like, to be quite honest, I think there's a big culprit in the room that needs to be addressed, and I feel that it's the ulama, the scholars, um, who have pushed vehemently on a very skewed understanding of women, through the Islamic lens. Um,
Yes.
and they've basically created this sort of prototype of their desired female, the
Exactly.
Pakistani female. And I think these pirates would be
Mm.
threatened, if anything. But what do you think? Like, what's your opinion about how the scholars had a role in, um, you know, perpetuating the patriarchy?
Oh no, this is the crucible. I think this topic is the crucible. I mean, we start off by learning about women as a part of the rib. So she's a part of a man. She is the second sex, right? So that's perpetuated through the religion. Then, there are so many ways that they are told that, men are superior to the women, although Quran clearly states that they're equal. If there's, it's the physical attribute that the men have, which is stronger, but there's no place where their superiority is mentioned the way it is talked about in our popular narrative. I mean, growing up, I learned more of the hadith with regards to women than about anything else. So if you see that, if you want to learn about the pop culture, pseudo Sheikh Islam, then you would learn that, okay, Islam starts with the woman being the second sex, and how she needs to bow down to her majazi khuda, that is her husband, and that's where it ends. And these are the four walls, and if she is happily cooking and baking for him and his family, that's then she's doing fine. Outside of these four walls and the confines, there's fitna. then we have the term that is fitna for the women. Other than that, a woman is a fitna. So I think a lot of damage has been done by these scholars who shrinks women to a submissive role and who puts man on a pedestal. That is where the problem it turns into a debate, because then if you're fighting for yourself, whom are you challenging? You're challenging God, you're challenging Islam or the scholars that exist. So then that gets twisted into a religious problem, which it is not. Because if you're dealing as a human being who is going to fight for herself, who wants to grow and flourish, and is fighting for herself, then they're going to be your light is going to trigger the darkness, that is the patriarchal darkness that is existing within the religious, political, and social spheres. But on the contrary, if you learn about the lives of the Zainab or say the Fatima, I mean, they were speakers. They were vocal about their rights. And we see Sayyidah Zainab's speech in the court of Yazid and how she revolutionized the movement for women. Then we see the Fatima Zahra Salamullah, her mother, who actively spoke for her land of Fadak in front of the caliph of the time and inside the mosque. And right now, I have never visited a mosque in my life, because sometimes I would feel my life to be threatened, and I would feel like a fitna. So I don't know what the mosque inside looks like, but to think that, say, the Fatima Zahra Salamullah is inside the court of the caliph, inside the mosque, and she's asking about her right of the land of Fadak, and she quotes Quran Pak, and nobody's telling her she's a woman there. Is she speaking there as a woman? She's speaking as a human being for her right. So I think there's the gendered lens inside Islam. It needs to be deconstructed thoroughly. And I don't think men are going to do that for us, because they don't want to lose that power. It's the women who have to learn, investigate, and reclaim. And we can only do that by knowing our women. Without that, we are at a loss of our anchor. But when we position the right inspirational models or heavenly avatars, then you have like a litmus test, or you have the foundation that you have something to stand on. So I think that's where we need to bring our focus to.
Right. So then, since we're the majority in hell, right?
Exactly.
The question is, would a project of this nature be a fitna?
I hope so.
And what would be, yeah, okay, same here. So hence this project. And what I'd like to know is that you all have a great history of powerful women. Benazir was killed technically, right? And so I'm sure you have a whole history of women who spoke up and spoke out, but what was their end result? And what would be the case if you have, women getting louder? How does it work in the political sort of spheres? And what is the result of, women, and what would it be the case in today's landscape?
I mean, the case of femicide, where women are killed, and the case of honor killing is highly prevalent in Pakistan. I mean, it's not that a week goes by and you have a case of honor killing. You have
Really?
a woman being murdered in daylight by an abusive father, or by a family member or an in-law right? Or we have young TikTok influencer who are killed for saying no because they don't want to marry the guy who is pestering her, who saw her online, and regardless of the educational content or amazing content she's creating, she had to die the death at the hands of a man to whom she said no to. So this is the nature of freedom in Pakistan. So we had amazing lives, amazing young girls who have been a victim of honor killing. I mean, honor is placed on the shoulder solely on the shoulder of a woman. If she is doing the right thing, the man gets the honor. If she's not doing the right thing, I mean, what would be the wrong thing? The wrong thing would be she fighting for herself, she trying to create space in the world that would not allow her the space. So this issue of femicide, despite all the legal protections, has never been taken seriously in Pakistan. I mean, the only revenge that a man seems to get from a woman is by taking her life, because he cannot stand her voice, or by throwing acid on her, so that if he's appealed by her beauty, now he's going to steal that very thing from her that gives her the identity. So if you're throwing acid on someone, you're erasing that person's identity. So he's, just because he cannot have her, he's erasing her. And that kind of erasure you see exists in all the posters in Pakistan. And there was a time when the poster pictures of the women, they were, sprayed with black dots. And I would think I was in sixth grade or fifth grade. I was like, why? I mean, they just hung the posters of these beautiful girls who were in the ad of Dove or Lux. And I used to like look at those girls because those beauty products, by the ads, they are appealing. And then I was like, suddenly, these mullahs have a problem with their faces. What's bothering them? I mean, we have gotten ahead, but we have not gotten ahead. I mean, the head of a woman is still a problem, is still a trigger for the men who cannot exert their power, who, when they feel powerless over a woman and are triggered by a woman's no, that's when they drop the morality and humanity, and they go towards the erasure of women. That's the problem of Pakistan, erasing the woman, silencing the woman. So I mean, uh, these are really the kind of topic that makes us emotional, and it's everyday. It's an everyday topic. Even if you're studying in a university that's a female university, inside the university, you're good. You go outside the university, because it's a women's university, the goons are out there like moths to the flame. Right? Why does this mentality exist? But we don't have that in the core culture. But that doesn't mean it takes the power from men of harming them, digitally or personally. So this audacity, where does this audacity in these men come from? If the men were not born and raised as entitled individuals, they would never have this audacity to take away a life or to silence a woman and to go physical, right? So if we talk about Islam that gives this precedence to a man because of his physical attribute, the woman is the victim because of this physical attribute of the man that the man is taking advantage of. He does not see or reckon that he will be in the court of God and answerable for the power that he had, what he did with all this entitlement and male privilege that he was born and raised with. So I was thinking the other day, if I was born and living with my siblings and I am told that I am the superior creature, I am the one to whom the man is going to bow his head down to, I mean, I would live with a very different privilege, a very carefree privilege, knowing that the opposite gender is in my control. This is the control that these men are living with day in
Absolutely.
and day out. So, I would love to, just think in that feeling, and it's like some different feeling, that I am with my brother and I'm told that I am better than her, I will be getting, the house in the future. He might not have the house in the future like I do. Like his rights can be stripped off, and I could be enjoying that, property that my sister won't get. So these things are maybe right now, if I talk to a student who is young, it would be unconscious in him, but he would know that he has a stronger, secured assets compared to a girl who knows, if I am not by a certain age married or have my things or plans sorted out for life, I would be living like a homeless, right? So this homelessness women are brought up with, and this security and foundation, men are brought up with that. So both mindsets, one is a fear raised mindset, and the other is an entitled mindset. So why wouldn't they be audacious? And why wouldn't she be, struggling for, crumbs, whatever she can get for herself? So I think this anthology is going to break that silence. This anthology aims to raise voice on these topics that are not discussed as much, but the bodily autonomy, financial security, all of these things now are to be for women need to be actively taken action upon, and for men to know that the women are now going to be holding them to their word, and this needs to awaken our men as well, and that they should just join the chorus with us. So that's the whole aim of this anthology, to create this fitna, to reshape the narratives that will be uncomfortable for so many, including the women. And because, when I think it's challenging for women who never had autonomy to now get autonomy. So there will be, like, women who would not want women to have that autonomy. They would want to further patriarchy because they are getting advantages or benefits from that patriarchy. So there's a lot that needs to be shaken and see what kind of fruit falls from it.
Right. There seems to be a very strong culture of shame in Pakistan. So how does this, like, you're teaching at a university and you're bringing this up with students, your male and female students,
Yeah.
profs, staff. How is it being received? And do you find women resistant because they've been silent for so long that even if on the apparent they look empowered, and they've got their stuff put together, at least on the apparent, is that
Yes.
reality a reality at home? Are they willing to speak out? Are they willing to tell their stories? Are they willing to be vulnerable enough to disclose themselves as the writer with their actual names? What's the situation?
That's a big question. This is a very powerful question. I mean, I have years of experience teaching in women's university and now in the co-university. So the experiences that the students were able to share with me over the course of time to seek help have been phenomenal. They're the kind of cases that usually go unreported as well, because I have girls who marry right in the middle of, for example, their undergraduate program, or in the beginning of their graduate program, and they're getting divorced. Most of these girls, there's those that have shared their stories with me, they get divorced within a month or 4 months or a year, and they're coming up with these stories of domestic violence. And And these stories are nothing short of horrific. I mean, I remember there were times when they would share their story and I would just break out crying because you could not imagine. You would look at a girl, you would see like such a beautiful girl. I mean, she deserves a fairy tale. The guy would be madly in love with her, but this whole guy is the nightmare who has physically tortured her, who has mentally tortured her. I mean, the physical scars, if I even talk about those that they have caused, I mean, there are guys who are keeping daggers at their home and they're using it on the girls. If the girl has cysts, they're breaking cysts just because they want to, because they want to inflict harm or have relationship when their body is not able to consummate. Then at that time, the kind of torture that these girls go to, and that torture is not silenced by their family, but the mothers, their mother-in-laws, they would say that this happened to all women. What are you fussing about? This is an everyday reality. So we see the role of these men and their mother-in-laws who have this hand in perpetuating this violence. And so you see when these girls are coming out, would they want to share? I said, would you want to share their stories? They said, we want to share, but then what about our security? So I think the best medium then is the medium of penning poetry and prose. And in this process, there were many, specifically those girls who have shared their stories with me. I've asked them to write how they want to write. But when you are saying that, would these women like to be the writer and want to talk about their stories? We don't want to strip them of their safety. And this is exactly where the artist and the writer comes in. He can create or she can create characters. And those characters can be brought to life who are not any different than those of their lived experiences, right? So they can, through this medium of penning or fiction or prose writing, they can communicate those experiences effectively and they can give resolution. These women then, these writers have the power to reframe narrative in building futures where this would not have happened, or what is the lesson that is coming out from these stories. I mean, every day, we are excited to get married, but we don't know what a marriage is. We want a wedding. Pakistani women, the South Asian women, there's a whole fantasy attached to this marriage, to this wedding industry. But the marriage is a reality that they wake up to after their first night, and it's not as it is commercialized in the media. So then what do you do with the nightmare that you're living with or you're dealing with, right? So the good thing is that these women have seen their mothers suffer and they're not going to be their mother. So their literal lines are like, I don't want the life of my mother. I don't want the suffering of my mother. I saw my mother do that. I don't want that. I don't want to repeat that pattern. This is exactly where they want to break those patterns. So this is how these everyday reality of these women is. And you think that our youth right now, even if they're not facing it, it is not far from happening to them. It's right, it could be any moment. So, because that's how real time the effect of this misogynistic patriarchy is. If you're living an unconscious life, living unconsciously, thinking that you can be different from the other person without active actions or without a proper mindset, that is deep colonized from patriarchy, deep patriarchal, right? That is rooted in the feminine threshold, that strong feminine figure. And by having those strong feminine figures, knowing those strong feminine figures, can we have a strong foundation for these women to not let happen or to break the patterns? And because if women are breaking the patterns, they will also teach their brothers to break those patterns. Like as a sister, I can say that there's a lot of conditioning that I do, and so my brothers can strongly say that I'm a feminist. But if you're not going to talk about it and keep it to yourself, there's a lot of education, parting of education and information that needs to be taking place, because women have that role, and we are speakers. We have this agency through voice that is mostly silence. But if we are using that actively, starting from the family unit and moving forward, this can create a huge impact. So hence the anthology, hence active role in taking this moment and releasing that's choking us. So we are setting ourselves free from the chokeholds of patriarchy that we are living in, that we are conscious of or unconscious of.
It's very powerful. And so yourself, you seem to be spearheading this with
You,
another.
with my guide that's right in front of me.
Yeah, we're always supporting, and we wanna make sure that we're connecting to our, female sisters in Pakistan, in Malaysia, in, Africa. And this is going to mushroom because we're finding more and more women, even in these spiritual spaces. As much as you think you finally, have gone, you know, home base and you're safe there, it's actually coveted patriarchy as well in these spaces where you would assume there would be more room and space. But we find more and more women giving their power away, giving their sense of autonomy away to, scholars and guides in the name of ascension, in the name of self purification, in the name of rectifying oneself. And that too is another form of patriarchy. And I've personally witnessed a lot of this phenomena that's been happening unquestioned for as long as, I think for centuries now, where the concept of even female guides is questionable.
It's absent.
It's
It's
absent.
absent. And
The
if it's
landscape is,
present,
the landscape is like devoid of this. And it's almost like it seems like a very pseudo concept
yes,
when you
it is.
mention that. And
Yes,
it's our females that actually deny this.
yes,
Because the
yes.
moment one is seeking a mentor, what's associated with that thought process is suddenly a male. And you're
Exactly. Now you
talking,
need to go to a male. You want to bypass that female guide who God has placed in front of you, and you want to bypass her, and you want to, if she has said something, you want to seek the opinion of male if it's going to be different, or if he's verifying what she said.
yeah. So
So
there's a lot of
there's
second
judgment.
guessing. Yeah,
Yeah, second guessing and consistent judgment on the female.
exactly. But what I personally have found that in this time we have that the woman is awakening to herself. Women generally are, and it's authentic.
Yeah.
So you have more and more women changing lanes and becoming healthier mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally as well. And this is what we want. We want this release. We want this to be a healthy sort of shift. Um, and yeah, and we want women who who are going to tap into this project to not just be, you know, um, observers. We want you to participate. There is no age limit. Because I think in such societies, you're going to have even the young girls. Like if you look at Afghanistan, you'll see young girls speaking up and speaking out, and their voices are
Speaking up
loud.
in the time where they are being shot down for speaking up, where they're told
Exactly.
singing is banned. That's exactly where they are singing. When they are singing, so like in Iran, when you're told to cover up, that's exactly where they're not covering up, That's exactly so because this is creating resistance. We are living in the times of resistance where both sides are at the peak. One is at the peak of its oppression and control and authoritarianism and fascism and radicalism, and the other is at the peak of, uh, their threshold to patience is over. Now, the body is erupting. They are not being silenced. This is a tsunami on both sides, and it's not going to stop. So it's better to, this is not the time for being observers. This is the time to take on this impossible task, whether we can or we cannot, uh, but we always can in whatever capacity that we can. So, I mean, the best medium is the medium of writing because it's timeless legacy. So one thing I say to my friends who are married is that you're with they have their daughters. It's like, you're not writing now, but it was a very powerful moment for me. I said, you're not writing for yourselves that you think you are going to skip this bit of oppression that you have faced. You have this little daughter right in front of you. She is 2 years old or 3 years old. What are you leaving for her? You're going to read it to her that your mom was a part of this movement that created the dent in patriarchy. You are the dent in patriarchy. That's what you're going to say. So now it's the time of the baddies because they call us the fitness. Then okay, we have claimed it. We are the baddies. We own it. We practice it. We embody it. So let's just accept this uh, fitna and accept our baddie nature and just do our bit. We are not fighting for any purity labels or nice labels. The nice girl era is gone because you told us to be nice, and we learned that being nice was to listen to you. So if we're going to get a title that is a nice girl, we don't want it. You can't take it. We're fitna. Now you accept it or not, we are gonna be what we are.
Absolutely. I second that a million times. And living Saudi Arabia, I think the greatest thing was putting the scholars out of business because it was them, wanting to see this. And they were happy as long as women were quiet. So there's been a huge shift there because of that. And people seem to be disturbed by that, with their false ideas of, what is utopian Islam. Another thing I wanted to say was that I remember on a visit like over a decade back, even more. I remember meeting a doctor, and she said, and I don't have this verified, but she said that the cancer rate in young women as early as their 20s is like the highest in Pakistan.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
This is like, yeah, I don't have this
Yeah,
verified, but
my
this is,
people just passed away from cancer, so
yeah, but we're talking about like, in the
young
West, it's like
girls.
40 and up, right? Approximately, like, if anything. But then in Pakistan, the rates for breast cancer, okay,
Yes.
are starting in their 20s. This needs to be verified though, but I'm just saying that this is what a
I
medical
don't know about the
practitioner
age
told me.
gap.
Mhm.
I don't know about the age gap, but there have been women in my life, not just one, two. There have been women who have suffered from breast cancer or cancer. Even my student, their mother are have cancer. So cancer is rampant in women.
Right.
I don't have a verification either, but this is my experience of the women I have in my life that cancer is rampant
Exactly.
among.
Yeah, so there is a correlation. That's all I'm trying to say here is irrespective of the statistic, there is a correlation of, suppressed voices, suppressed emotion, and diseases, disease,
This,
So this is what we want to um, bring to attention, that you telling your story, you're doing it's self-healing right there. Right there, you're removing that. You're removing traumas from your body that you've actually inherited as well, and have been, collecting over the years. And this has to be released. And we release through talk, we release through writing, we release through sharing. And the opposite
and
of that is silence. The opposite,
dance and
yeah,
movement,
that's exactly, and hence the unsaid.
and hence the answer.
And so
Yes.
we are representing, women are representing for this project the unsaid for their grandmothers, great grandmothers, their mothers, their
Mothers,
sisters, the collective.
the
And hence
daughters.
and it's a moral obligation equally. It's it's really absolutely necessary. So we don't want women just watching, watching the next drama. This is not a drama. This is
Hmm.
real stuff.
Yeah, no binge watching, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Start
You
with
know,
yourself.
yeah,
Live,
exactly.
live in the body. I mean, there's this thing that is very new. They say live in your body. It's like we are living in our body, but we are not living in the present moment. If we are in the present, we would know what our body is telling us. But there's there's divorce within ourselves. There's need to be an investment to come back to yourself. Come back and know, hold the mirror. The beloved is right here. You are the beloved. Look into your eyes, you're here, and it's an honor that whatever we are here, we have received from the struggles of our mothers, of our grandmothers, of the matriarchs of our family. So how do we honor them? We honor them by honoring ourselves. There's this divorce is that we don't accept ourselves. We don't respect ourselves the way we respect in being called nice, right? So we define what how can we honor ourselves. So there's this thing my dad said that Mehta, you need to just take the mirror and are you going to sit with her and you're going to talk to her about her needs, talk to her, love your life, you know, love yourself. I don't know what he saw in me, but he was like, you have to, you're not loving, we're not loving our life, these possibilities, these privileges of education and agency to work and to speak and have the agency to create platform where we open venues for others. That's big thing. How are we crediting ourselves? What are we hiding? Why are we hiding from ourselves? So, this coming to the beloved, that is us, that is the time for the women to be the beloved, to know that you are the beloved. So you can shift the orbiting of the universe. Instead of orbiting, you become the center where the world is orbiting. So if we don't shift that lens from outside towards ourselves, we would continue to suffer. But the suffering will break when we will be truly an embodiment and knowing that we are the beloved. And it starts with this, as you say, the word love revolution. This love revolution for the women needs to take place within themselves, for themselves, and for each other. So I think that's key. So,
I love that. I love that. And so when are we looking at having the publication out? Do we have a deadline for submissions? Obviously, that's there on the Instagram page and so forth. So what would you say about that?
I mean, the anthology is coming together beautifully, but we are anticipating more voices, more baddies to, write it out without thinking, but write it with this responsibility that they have towards themselves and towards the collective, that this is a timeless project and you are becoming a part of a timeless legacy. So yes, just step up, take the pen, and you don't have to look outside. You have to start from within. You have to start writing, and everything is happening right around you. You just need to unsee and re-see. So, and that's where your power is to just start writing. So yes. I mean,
That's
so the
awesome.
date and then the deadline is 30th of April. I mean, this is the third time we have extended, but because of immense requests and because of the turnout so far, which has been really powerful. So yes, I mean, I would again emphasize on the urgency that you're being part of a lifetime legacy. And so yes, be the baddie and start penning.
That's
And
awesome.
change
And
the world. Create the world and change the world.
yeah, that's what we want. And so, yeah, I think we're good. I think we basically covered like the synopsis and the overview of this amazing project. And yeah, I don't know what's left, but we're going to continue to bring on women, females in
Voices.
Pakistan who have been voicing this you know, for some time
Decade.
now. Yeah,
Yes.
decades, and who've been dedicated in their own right and in their own spaces. And we want to bring more and more. So if you're one of those, reach out to Mehtab and we'd love to feature you and bring more voices of truth and the beloved as yourself back on to this platform.
You said it. Yes. This is an invitation to the beloved and for the sake of love revolution, for the uprisal of the women, to restore this balance of power, to reignite the feminine embodiment, and to live courageously and powerfully as we are meant to be. And that's a God-given right.
Amazing. So we're good and to be
Mommy,
continued.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much for being the voice, to being the thought leader. This is our Sayyidah Alicia. She is the thought leader of bringing and empowering women. And it would you like to just share this vision, where you received this vision? Because I think we have covered all the aspects of it, but for the people to know where this dream was birthed and where it was envisioned, that is something that cannot be, that's its importance cannot be diminished, but it should be shared that this is a noble cause and nothing short of it.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't want to mystify it too much. I don't think this is something new. I think at the start of Islam, And after the demise of the Prophet, peace be upon him, we were already given this blueprint immediately after. And like you mentioned earlier, in the case of Fadak, this was already an issue, the rights of women. So we had the case of Lady Fatima Zahra and how her property was confiscated from her. And then what did she do? She left for us a blueprint, even though she could not access that property. Even post her passing, that was not given back to her. It took a couple of generations, but the point is that she left us a blueprint. She said, be seen, be heard, use your voice and speak out, speak out. Silence is not an option. And she trained her daughter, Sayyidah Zainab, on the same blueprint. And Sayyidah Zainab was a revolutionary, and she basically brought down the tyranny and this this wrongful leadership, illegitimate leadership of Yazid, right, and his people. So it was through this sort of legacy that we take inspiration. And if you're asking if I can recall, because there's so much going on right now in terms of projects and so forth for Divan-e-Ishq, I believe it was in Egypt I contacted you, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
the inspiration came there that, it's all about, addressing the issues of patriarchy, which equally affects men. It's a system. It's not about, we're not targeting men. We don't hate men.
We want
We're
them
we're
to
on board. We're all,
wake up.
yeah, exactly. We want good for everyone, and the men are included in this. Can men participate in this project? I'm not sure, but why not?
No,
Like, that could be open, or no. It's the women's voices we want,
it's the
right?
women's
Yeah.
voices.
Okay. Fine.
Absolutely.
So obviously, but the very point is that
But they can
it's through the,
recite.
yeah,
They can recite. They can sing. They can support the chorus. Their voice is in the chorus when they are with their women and supporting them. They are part of it. But this particular anthology, this first project, I think first
yeah.
volume, I think
It's
this is
exclusive. Yeah.
exclusively for women, yes.
Exactly.
Because we have to give
Yeah.
space to the unsaid, and the unsaid is witnessed and lived by the women.
Precisely. So that's all it is. I mean, I don't think this is a modern movement.
Yes.
It's found, if you trace back, it's nothing new. It's been given from over 1400 years ago. We were taught this, and it's so ironic that you mentioned that. You haven't been into a mosque. I was recently on a visit to the UK, and there were certain communities where they said that there is no space for women in mosques. I'm not talking
Yes.
about the larger mosques, but technically speaking, woman spaces, this is not a thing. So the very fact that, say, the Fatima delivered she was the first female to deliver a sermon, not on a mountain, but in the mosque, just
Exactly.
tells you about this whole narrative of silence.
In
And
front of the
this is
main
nothing to
event.
do with religion. It's the interpretation, and we want to dismantle that. We want to reclaim, and we want to go back to the Fatimi way. And this is what brings us here. And yeah, that's about it for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so
you.
much for being the guide for me and sculpting me. Thank you for dreaming and envisioning. And we hope that all the women who are listening to our message can take this message seriously and act upon it, because our way is the way of embodiment. Our way is the way of action. Not just theory, not just talks. It's a way of just doing it. So we see you all in the anthology, and we hope to feature more powerhouses, house women. And yes, we see you until next time. Thank you so much, Saida, for
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you. Just, okay.